Right, anticipation. We love it sometimes and hate it other times.
It's probably my imagination.
If I was to ask you what time you think people's excitement peaks during a night out, you would probably say like in the midst of the party, like while they're out. But it turns out people's excitement tends to peak before they've even gone out. But why is this? Well, it's probably because we've got great imaginations. We can think back to past experiences or things we've read or things we've seen in movies and imagine all that stuff happening to us. And that's great. Being optimistic about things is a nice trait to have. But occasionally that optimism can be so strong that you end up enjoying thinking about doing the thing over actually doing it. So you're on your night out and you're thinking to yourself, this isn't as good as I imagined it. So even though many things won't live up to your crazy imagination, it's still nice to look forward to things. But maybe lowering your expectations could be useful.
Imagine that.
At the end of the day, if everything was as amazing as you imagined it, over time things would slowly get less gratifying. You also wouldn't feel motivated to try anything new because you would already know the outcome. Basically, everything needs to be slightly worse than you can imagine it, because then there's always a chance that something cool could happen. You know, the brain isn't wired to have 10 out of 10 experiences all the time, and you need to have the occasional bad night out or holiday or bad whatever to really appreciate the good ones. So it's one thing to over-anticipate all the good things that could happen, but what if you over-anticipate all the bad things? I would say I fall more on this side. I'm not someone who has a bad experience because I've set my expectations too high, but I am someone who can have a bad experience because I've imagined every possible negative outcome. The anticipation-less mindset is something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and it's been pretty useful. Essentially, it's the process of preparing less and thinking less before doing stuff. Overthinking, overanalyzing, overpreparing, these things almost guarantee anxiety, and so finding a way to switch that off can be very helpful. One reason people anticipate in this unhelpful way is because they want certainty and maybe don't believe they can handle the thing they're anticipating, and this creates this anticipatory anxiety. So instead of over anticipating and overwhelming yourself and creating this anxiety, try to ignore those thoughts and just trust that you'll be able to handle it. It's also valuable to remind yourself that nothing will be 100% certain and that, mistakes are fine. And I know that's fairly obvious, but I think when you're in those states and over-anticipating, you tend to forget those things. So do the bare essential planning if necessary, and then forget about it until you're in the moment doing the thing. And there is a nice mental framework you can use to think about your thoughts in a better way, but I'll talk about that in the next video.